In a time of uncertainty where nations struggle against terrorism, poverty, and political instability, one man rose from the ranks of the military to become the youngest leader in the world. His name is Ibrahim Traoré. Born in 1988 in the heart of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré was an ordinary soldier who would later take center stage in Africa's political history. At just 34 years old, he shocked the world when he seized power in September 2022, following a dramatic coup d'état. To some, he is a symbol of hope; to others, a controversial figure. But no matter the opinion, one thing is clear. His rise represents a turning point not only for Burkina Faso, but for the whole of Africa. Ibrahim Traoré grew up in a modest family. From an early age, he showed discipline and determination, traits that guided him toward a career in the military. After completing his education, he joined the Burkina Faso Armed Forces, training as an artillery officer. He quickly built a reputation for bravery and leadership on the battlefield, particularly in the fight against Islamist insurgencies that plagued his nation. While many soldiers felt discouraged by the government's inability to deal with terrorism, Traoré believed change was possible, and that change required bold action. By 2022, Burkina Faso was in crisis. Islamist insurgents linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIS controlled large parts of the countryside. Thousands were killed and millions displaced. Trust in the government had collapsed. The previous leader, Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Damiba, had himself seized power in a coup earlier that same year, promising security and stability. But months passed and little changed. Attacks grew more frequent. Frustration spread, not only among the people, but also within the ranks of the military. And at the center of this storm was Ibrahim Traoré. On September 30th, 2022, gunfire echoed through Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso. Military forces loyal to Captain Ibrahim Traoré moved swiftly, seizing key locations, including the national television station. By evening, the message was clear. Paul-Henri Damiba had been removed from power. Standing in military uniform, calm yet firm, Ibrahim Traoré appeared before the nation. He declared himself head of state, promising to restore security, fight corruption, and return dignity to the people. For many citizens, his rise brought relief and renewed hope. Crowds flooded the streets, waving Russian and Burkinabe flags, calling for a break from old colonial ties with France and a new era of independence. Ibrahim Traoré's first moves was bold and controversial. He distanced himself from France, the former colonial power that had long maintained a military presence in the region. French troops were told to leave, their bases closed. Instead, Traoré signaled openness to new partnerships, particularly with Russia, which promised military support and cooperation. This decision made him a hero to some, but a target of criticism from others who feared Burkina Faso was moving into dangerous new alliances. At 34, Traoré became the youngest head of state in the world. His youth inspired many across Africa, where leaders often cling to power for decades. Suddenly, young people saw themselves reflected in leadership. To them, Traoré was not just a president, but a symbol of defiance, a rejection of foreign influence, and a promise of African sovereignty. His image spread rapidly across the continent, with supporters comparing him to legendary African revolutionaries like Thomas Sankara, the iconic leader of Burkina Faso in the 1980s. But with power comes enormous responsibility. Traore faces daunting challenges. Terrorist attacks continue in parts of the country. The economy struggles under inflation and displacement. Millions of people need humanitarian aid. And while his bold anti-colonial stance wins admiration, critics question whether his alliances and policies will truly bring peace or simply shift dependency from one foreign power to another. Burkina Faso's future still hangs in the balance. Ibrahim Traoré's story is not just about Burkina Faso. Across West Africa, a wave of military takeovers has challenged the old order. In Mali, Guinea, Niger, young soldiers have stepped into power, rejecting what they see as failed democracies dominated by foreign influence. To many Africans, Traoré represents a new Pan-African spirit, a movement demanding freedom, dignity, and sovereignty. His words resonate beyond borders, fueling debates on whether Africa is entering a new revolutionary era. Despite his growing reputation, Ibrahim Traoré remains somewhat of a mystery. Reserved, disciplined, and often serious, he avoids the luxury and excess that some leaders embrace. Supporters describe him as humble, approachable, and committed to the people. But in the unpredictable world of politics, humility is not always enough. Can he resist the temptations of power? Can he deliver the stability his people desperately need? These are the questions that will define his legacy. Ibrahim Traoré's story is still being written. From a young soldier to Africa's youngest president, his rise is nothing short of extraordinary. To some, he is a liberator. To others, an untested leader in dangerous times. But whether he succeeds or fails, one thing is certain. His rise marks the beginning of a new chapter in Africa's history. A chapter shaped not by colonial powers or foreign interests, but by Africans themselves. The world now watches closely as the youngest leader on earth fights to prove that his revolution is not just for Burkina Faso, but for all of Africa. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more history and geopolitics content. Until next time.